Hello Horror Hounds, for this video I am raising a glass of port to Frank de Vamp, Masquerade as Sane and Black Phillip. All three requested Ravenous, which gave me the opportunity to watch it again, and I probably adored it even more second time round than when it first came out. So here's to you three, thank you and salut. Ravenous is an odd little beast. Any of you who have seen it will know exactly what I'm talking about. It's got cult classic written all over it, and lo and behold, it has become a cult classic. You will either watch it and go, or you'll take it to your heart, and it'll be one of those movies you love and adore and wish more people knew about, but also maybe, if we're being honest, kind of secretly like the fact that there's only a few of us who really know how good it is, and everyone else is just stupid, but we all knew that anyway. So the setup briefly is that the film is mainly set in a military outpost out west in the 1840s. For the winter, snowed in, and with touches of the historical happenings of the Donner Party and Alfred Packer, so you know, cannibalism for survival. Robert Carlyle turns up. Most people will know him as Begbie, I guess, from Trainspotting. He turns up, the survivor of one such group that got lost in the wilderness, in the blizzard, in the snow, and survived for 3 months. Well, as he says in the film, I said there was no food, but I didn't say there was nothing to eat. Guy Pearce is in it as our hero, I guess you'd say. He's the one, I suppose, we root for most in the film. He's been sent to this outpost as a punishment, really, for getting a promotion through what is seen as cowardice. I just see it as fucking survival. And there you go, right there. The instinct for survival and what you would do. How far would you go to survive against a land that genuinely doesn't care whether you live or die and is providing you with no form of sustenance, and also against other human beings who, for their survival, will quite happily kill and eat you. Folks, this is a film about cannibalism, but it is not your, I was going to say everyday film about cannibalism, if there is such a thing. It's not cannibalism a la the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This film ties it in with the Native American myth of the Wendigo, but also borrows liberally from the vampire myth. Some people say that it's a pitch dark comedy. Other people say that it's a satire on Western consumerism. Some people have even suggested that it may be a commentary on Hollywood itself. No one can really quite pin down what it is. It's fair to say that there were troubles behind the camera. The original director, who had started shooting, produced some more storyboards, wanted an extended shoot time. He got shit-canned off the job. Robert Carlyle brought in Antonia Bird, who he'd collaborated with before, to direct. She subsequently said that her relationship with the producers was fractious at best, and the trouble on the project, it would not be fair to lay that all on the doorstep of the original director. So yes, it's patchy, yes, it's strange, and there are tonal shifts, and it's very difficult to know how much of those tonal shifts were intended from the start, how much were born out of necessity of a troubled shoot. What is an absolute triumph is that even with a patchy film like this, and I say patchy with the greatest love and respect for it, and even with the troubled shoot that's a matter of document, that something as subversive and individualistic and just completely off the beaten track from the kind of films that we normally get presented. That something as good as this could come out of it, I think probably is a testament to Antonia Bird, the director, and the cast and the crew. There's a there's a sort of the little engine that could about this movie, and it's so charming, and it's so, I'm going to use the Q word that I hate, quirky, individualistic, I'll say, instead of quirky, because quirky doesn't really mean anything. Ooh, oh, mad me. No, you're not quirky, you're just annoying. So individualistic, dark as midnight, bloody, funny, gorgeous to look at, gorgeous to listen to. You won't have seen a film like Ravenous. Because this film is a bit like a patchwork quilt, there are echoes of other films and other stories and things in there. Just little motifs and little tonalities and things like that. Guy Pearce's character, his commendation after his supposed act of cowardice, right near the start of the film, has echoes for me of Dances with Wolves. And if you remember, if you've seen that film or read that book, John Dunbar, that Kevin Costner plays, his attempted suicide is misinterpreted as an act of bravery, and he's given a commendation and sent to the West. He requests that. In this, Guy Pearce's character, Boyle, pretends to be dead as his forces are overrun by the Mexicans in the American-Mexican War, and is brought with, this is all right at the start, so don't worry about spoilers, is brought back behind their lines with the corpses and manages to take over the garrison for reasons that will become clear, and he gets a commendation and he gets sent out west as well. Once you get to the outpost, these are all sort of brief feelings of other films, because no film feels exactly like Ravenous does, but once he gets to the outpost and there's the ragtag bag of strange characters, there's for a few minutes there's something of the flavour of William Blatty's The Ninth Configuration. Robert Carlyle's performance, for me, as Calhoun, has future echoes of his turn as Rumpelstiltskin in Once Upon a Time. As I mentioned earlier, even though the myth technically is the Wendigo, there are a lot of sort of vampire archetypes being used. There are times in this when Robert Carlyle looks, that's probably not the best example, but close, looks to me like Vlad Tepes, Vlad the Impaler, sort of the iconic image that has been tied in with Dracula and the Dracula story. So he looks for all the world like the archetypal vampire. His relationship with Guy Pearce as Boyle, who is more blue-eyed and beautiful, has more than a hint, for me at least, of the Louis and Lestat about it, and their interplay through Interview with the Vampire. One thing that is worth highly praising is that director Antonia Bird, and to read this off the back of the case, director of photography Anthony B. Richmond. Sometimes period films don't, what's the word I'm looking for? An authenticity about it. And even though this has got elements of the fable or the folklore, this has a folk-tale feel about it, but the period does feel authentic. The atmosphere throughout is superb. This is a film that feels cold. It feels wet, cold, uncomfortable, and it doesn't, not to detract from the acting, which is superb, there are times when it doesn't look like they're acting. You really are out in the lonely, cold, unforgiving wilderness in this film, and the way that these two have shot it, just the textures, the colours, the look, the feel of everything is in the same way. Okay, here's a comparison for you. The Thing John Carpenter's The Thing. That looks cold. That film looks cold, does it not? Ravenous is also a cold and unforgiving landscape in a similar way. Also worth note, you will not find a review of this that does not note the score by Michael Nyman and Damon Albarn of Blur. It's a Marmite score. I think it's safe to say, reading the comments on IMDb, I freaking love it. I get it if you think it's intrusive and annoying. If you don't take to it, it can probably turn you off the entire film. It is prevalent. It's there a lot. It's in the foreground. To me, it adds to the fable-like notion of it. It almost sounds like the music of a troupe of wandering players who are presenting the play of this outpost and Calhoun, the story of Calhoun and Boyle and Ravenous. If you're going to go off the beaten track, if you're going to do something against the grain of storytelling like this, go all out. And regular viewers of this channel will know that I'm much more excited about a film that goes all out and potentially fails to one that plays it safe. And I don't think this fails. It's strange to call a film about cannibalism charming, but this is charming. Robert Carlyle is a blast in this, and he is having a blast. Turns weak, ratty, and weaselly, but using that as a mask to ingratiate himself in with people. The standout scene is where they leave the outpost to go and check out his story of cannibalism and survival in the wild. That whole section of the film is absolutely glorious. At other turns, and people who've seen the film will understand what I mean when I say that he plays. There are different characters. Calhoun has different characters in this film, going all the way through to menacing. He does. Anyone who's seen Trainspotting will know that this guy, even though he's small in stature and wiry, can probably be one of the most menacing screen presences you've ever seen. To erudite and funny and gracious. Guy Pearce, as a counterpoint, does, as you would expect in a film like this, as individualistic as this, Guy Pearce's approach to playing the hero is to do the exact polar opposite of everyone else's instincts in playing the hero. He's quiet, he's stoical, he hardly says anything. He's very reactive. He's not a man of action, he's a man of reaction. There's an awful lot of negative space around him as the hero. And I just think that's a you don't fucking see that. He doesn't do things. He doesn't go out and do things. In fact, there is a character that embodies that, and you'll see what happens to that approach. But right from the start, even when we see him in flashback, in the battle scenario where he feigns death, his entire character basically rejects everything he sees around him, rejects the war, rejects society and the society of the people there, rejects all the actions of the people that are trying to get him to do what they want him to do. Ultimately, because of some lines that are put in Calhoun's mouth, an awful lot of people take this to be a satire on manifest destiny and Westward Ho, and that certainly plays out the message via cannibalism that might is right, and the westward drive to eat up this virgin land and the cultures that are already there, and to push forward into a land that will literally swallow you up as well, and that the idea that the destiny of America is to become itself a cannibal and might is right. That all works. It's notable that Guy Pearce and Antonia Bird are both vegetarians. On one level, especially the opening scene, this is a commentary on eating meat and the need to kill something in order to survive at the most basic level. If you're going to reject the sort of gung ho, Westward ho, might is right message, then how far down do you go? Where do you draw the line if you're a meat eater and and kill things to survive for sustenance? Um, it's delicately playful with all of this stuff. It's there if you want it. If it's not, it's a fucking gorgeous looking, funny, horrific, bloody. There's plenty of blood in here. Film about fucking cannibals, and you can enjoy it on that level as well. And you can hum Bloody Boyle's theme for the rest of the week, like I've been doing, and like I've done, you can, I'm sure, promise yourself that you won't leave it so long again until you give Ravenous a spin. It's just so much fun. Recommend, recommend, recommend. So the remaining films with 3 votes stand at Hausu, As Above, So Below, George Romero's Martin, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon trilogy. So in the same way that I chose Ravenous, these all go behind my back, and like the most accomplished stage magician you've ever seen, shuffles DVD cases. Right, I've got no idea what's what and what's what. Let's just cut those in half again, and whichever one's on top is... Okay, Black Lagoon trilogy. I've got 3 movies to watch now. I've seen Creature from the Black Lagoon. I love it. And I have not seen Return of the Creature and The Creature Walks Among Us. So I've got some work cut out for me. When I come back, I will be talking to you about the Creature from the Black Lagoon trilogy.